Carter Scherer bought a Bugatti off Alibaba for $30,000. Steve Hamilton scraped his Chiron on a driveway and the internet wanted his head. Huey bought a Veyron, nearly went broke, and then admitted it was one of the dumbest purchases he'd ever made. Matt Armstrong tried to rebuild a crashed Chiron per Sport worth nearly $2 million, and Bugatti cut him off from every official parts channel they had. Manny Koshbin took delivery of the Bolide, one of the rarest cars on the planet, and even his content quietly revealed something the brand probably didn't want broadcast. None of these creators were working together. None of this was coordinated. It just kept happening one after another, and every single time, the same tension surfaced underneath it all. That tension is what this video is about. Because what looks on the surface like a bunch of separate car stories is actually one much bigger story about two worlds that were never supposed to meet. Bugatti was built on control, on exclusivity, on the idea that these cars exist so far above ordinary life that most people will only ever see one through a screen. YouTube was built to tear exactly that kind of thing open. To show the ugly parts, ask the questions nobody was supposed to ask, and turn the most untouchable objects in the world into stories anyone can follow from their couch. Those two worlds were always going to collide. What nobody expected was how public, how messy, and honestly how entertaining that collision was going to get. And the reputation was already bruised before creators even showed up. There's a story that circulates in car circles about a Veyron owner who was quoted around £9,500 plus VAT just for a mirror switch. The actual part costs less than £1 in a standard parts pack. Less than £1. That single story probably did more damage to Bugatti's approachability than any YouTube video ever could. But then the creators arrived, and whatever was left of the mystique started evaporating in real time. Suddenly audiences were watching what actually happens when one of these cars crashes, gets scraped, breaks down, gets rebuilt in someone's garage, or gets replaced with a foam shell from Alibaba. And the internet split immediately into two very loud camps. One side loved it. Finally, someone was pulling back the curtain on a world that had always felt completely out of reach. The other side thought the whole thing was disrespectful, that cars like this deserve better than becoming content. Both camps were extremely online about it. But if one story turned this from background noise into a full-blown saga, it was Matt Armstrong's. The car was a Bugatti Chiron per Sport owned by Alex Gonzalez. It had been seriously damaged, paid out by insurance, and bought back from Copart for just under $1.9 million. Bugatti quoted a restoration cost that almost nobody outside a small European principality could comfortably afford. So Gonzalez decided to skip the official route entirely and rebuild it with Armstrong in Miami instead. That decision is the moment this stopped being a repair story and became something much bigger. Armstrong's whole appeal is that he treats impossible cars like problems to solve rather than sacred objects to admire from a distance. That works brilliantly on YouTube. It works considerably less well when the car in question is a Bugatti, because Bugatti had some very clear thoughts about that approach. The car was blacklisted. Official parts channels were shut off completely. Armstrong said publicly that manufacturers didn't want someone like him anywhere near a car like that. And just like that, the internet had its perfect image for this entire conflict. Then Mate Rimac, the CEO of Bugatti Rimac, responded publicly. He pushed back on the repair cost narratives that had been circulating and made the point that rebuilding a Bugatti outside official channels wasn't just unconventional, it was potentially dangerous.
There's been lots of talk online about Bugatti service, repair and maintenance costs recently online, and most of what you hear is simply not true. And if you want to repair that properly, you can't just do that in a garage.
A car engineered to hit over 260 miles per hour has safety tolerances that a garage restoration simply cannot replicate the way a factory can. That response changed everything. Suddenly this wasn't just a YouTube series. It was a direct public clash between a creator saying watch what we can do, and a manufacturer saying this is not a normal car, and you need to stop pretending it is. It escalated further when Gonzalez gave Bugatti a 24-hour ultimatum. unblacklist the car or the team would start 3D printing replacement parts. Rimac responded again, explaining patiently but firmly why printing critical safety components wasn't quite as straightforward as it sounded, while also saying Bugatti genuinely wanted to help find a cost-efficient path forward. The car was eventually unblacklisted and conversations reportedly restarted, but the image had already been set. For weeks, Bugatti looked like a fortress being rattled from the outside by people with cameras and an internet connection. And then Armstrong kept making progress. By early 2026, the car had been restarted and put into gear, further than most people thought he would ever get. Armstrong didn't just try to fix a Bugatti. He challenged the entire idea of who gets to decide what happens to one. While that fight was loud and public, the next chapter went in a completely different direction. Because Huey's conflict with Bugatti was quieter than everyone else's, and honestly more revealing because of it. He bought a 2008 Bugatti Veyron, owned it for roughly 9 months, and then sold it. The reason he gave wasn't primarily about the maintenance costs, though those were very real. It was that the car simply didn't perform on YouTube the way he expected. He said hypercars on the platform felt played out, that audiences had gotten so used to watching people flex them that the novelty had completely worn off.
Supercars and hypercars on YouTube is so played out, so overdone at this point. Every day somebody is flexing their new supercar or hypercar purchase, and nobody cares anymore.
And when he went back to filming cheap, broken cars, the kind of hoop ties his channel was originally built around, his views went up. That is a pretty brutal thing to admit about a $1 million car. It could not carry its own weight as content. Huey never went to war with the brand. But his Veyron saga made a quiet, convincing case that Bugatti's cultural grip on the internet wasn't quite what it used to be. The car had become too polished, too expected, too disconnected from the messy and relatable stories that actually keep audiences watching. Then comes Carter Scherer, and this is where the whole thing gets genuinely strange. In 2025, Scherer went viral for buying what looked like a Bugatti through Alibaba for around $30,000. It was a foam-bodied replica with none of the engineering that makes a Bugatti what it is. He spent weeks trying to make it drivable. One of his Bugatti-related videos got removed mid-series, which naturally made everything louder. And the wild part is that it worked. A $30,000 foam copy generated the same kind of viral energy as a real $2 million car. Creators don't even need the real thing anymore. The shape and the badge alone are enough to pull a massive audience. And that is exactly the kind of thing a brand built on exclusivity probably loses sleep over. If Carter's story was about the power of the Bugatti image, Steve Hamilton's was about the cost of putting that image in front of the wrong audience at the wrong moment. Hamilton scraped his Bugatti Chiron on a driveway in Los Angeles in 2025, and the internet absolutely lost its mind. The damage was real: a torn side skirt, carbon fiber shavings, a snapped underbody aero component. But the reaction went way beyond the repair bill. People weren't treating it like a clumsy mistake. They were treating it like a character flaw. The comments turned into a full tribunal about whether Hamilton even deserved to own the car. Scrape any other car and people laugh and scroll past. Scrape a Bugatti on camera and suddenly the entire internet is debating your worth as a human being. Hamilton later upgraded to a Chiron Super Sport, which just kept him under the same spotlight. Once a Bugatti becomes content, every mistake becomes public property. And yet, even when everything goes right, even when there's zero drama and the relationship with the brand is genuinely warm, Bugatti still has a way of reminding you who's really in charge. Nobody illustrates that better than Manny Koshbin. When he took delivery of his Bugatti Bolide in early 2025, the content around it accidentally revealed something the brand probably didn't intend to put on display. The Bolide is track-only, not road-legal, and the ownership experience is about as far from casual as it gets. Curated track sessions. Tightly managed usage. In his own videos, even starting the car looked like preparing for a controlled operation. Aircraft-style switches, a full startup sequence, the sense that you were temporarily borrowing something rather than owning it. The tires reportedly last only a few dozen miles per set. Run the engine without being on track and overheating becomes a real concern. Even in the friendliest possible version of Bugatti creator content, the underlying dynamic is identical. You can own the car. You just never quite stop feeling like Bugatti owns it more. So when you line all of these stories up, the pattern is impossible to miss. Armstrong tried to rebuild one and got blacklisted. Huey owned one and quietly proved it had lost its YouTube magic. Carter Scherer made a viral hit out of a phone copy. Hamilton scraped his and faced an internet tribunal. Koshbin showed that even the friendliest ownership comes with a rulebook you didn't write. Every single story is different, but they all keep bumping into the same wall. Bugatti was built for a world where the brand controls everything, where the cars stay untouchable and access is reserved for the right people in the right places. YouTube was built to tear exactly that kind of thing open. And what this whole saga has proven is that on the internet, a Bugatti isn't just content when it's shiny and parked in a perfect garage. It's content when it breaks, when it gets blacklisted, when it gets rebuilt, when it gets scraped, when it gets copied off Alibaba for $30,000, and when it gets discussed by millions of people who will never get within 100 feet of a real one. Bugatti built the mystique to protect the brand. On YouTube, that mystique just became more fuel.